Rogers High School. This is Coach's Corner, the Women in Sports edition. We're going to look at what women have been able to do here at Rogers High School and the mark that they have left. We've got Amy Looker, basketball coach, here with us today. We got Colleen Pancake, current avid teacher, but former Evergreen College volleyball coach. And then we've got our current volleyball coach, Kelly Kim, with us to share their thoughts on women's sports in high school and kind of beyond. To get us going, I want to do like a recap of the history of women's sports at Rogers High School. In 52 years of school, there have been 68 women's league titles, 20 of which have come in the last 15 years, which is pretty cool. I mean, it shows the increase in talent. 4 of our 6 team state titles are girls' state titles. 24 of the 46 individual state champions are female. 12 of the 21 academic state titles are for female teams. And then 40, we've been only doing this for the last 4 years. We've been asking student athletes to declare and participate in a college signing day. And 40 of the 65 athletes that have participated have committed to going on and playing at the next level of college athletics. So it's impressive. I didn't even realize how impressive female athletics were here at Rogers until I started diving in. I know they're great now, but they have been great the entire time, which is pretty impressive. But I'd like to start off with a question. Like I said, athletics for females has risen. The competition level is off the charts. Why has that rise taken place? Why is there more female competition than there once was?
I think, first of all, I'm proud to be a Ram, and I don't know how that community just kept feeding great athletes to our basketball program, but it did. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's on the rise, is when I look back when I went to Rogers and everyone who's coached that program since me, they really valued getting the youth involved. They really valued that relationship between our high schoolers being role models for the youth. So creating those programs and creating those communities around Rogers really helped to increase our numbers. Feeder programs now, I think they're officially called, was a big part of it. But back when I played, we played Saturday basketball school. We went to Rogers. We worked out with the high school athletes. So keeping them as the idols, like who do you want to grow up and be? We want to grow up and be those high school basketball players. So keeping that legacy and that tradition around, I think, is one of the reasons why we're reaping the fruits of that labor and that tradition. So I think that's one of the reasons why, specifically at Rogers, our numbers have increased.
I definitely echo what Amy said. I've been in a unique experience. I did coach volleyball at PHS for a couple years. I've coached club volleyball and I've coached at the college level. And I would 100% agree that just the involvement in youth sports has skyrocketed since I was in high school. I know Kelly can attest to this too in the club volleyball world, how it has just, it's crazy. And the involvement is unlike anything that it was 10, 15 years ago. I also think the rise has to do with a rise in female coaches and having female coaches at the high school and the college level. I didn't have my first female coach until I was in college. So I played volleyball, I played basketball, and I played softball throughout junior high and high school, and all my coaches were male. They were great, and I loved them, and I still keep in touch with most of them, but literally my freshman year of college was the first time I had a coach that was a woman. And I think having that connection with having a role model and seeing like, okay, if she can do this, I can do this too. And that coach actually hired me on as her assistant at Pierce College a couple years later. And that really brought me and opened up doors for me into the college coaching world. And I think that that can be said about a lot of other young women. just having those mentors and those role models that they can connect with is a huge, huge reason for it.
And I guess I would definitely like to piggyback on both of yours. I feel that the sooner kids can get involved, the sooner that they can feel like they're a part of something. And so encouraging those younger generations to, step outside their comfort zone and try something new, whether, they've played basketball before, maybe they want to try softball, or just even trying a sport for the very first time. So I think with the younger generations, encouraging them, that's important. And then also, like Coach Pancake said, is that the rise in club sports in our community and just in Washington State in general has been crazy. I know it's grown tremendously, and even though not a lot of kids might be able to access that resource of club, I think that one thing that kids can do is to just get as many touches on the ball as possible, whether it's, softball with your friends, basketball with your parents, your little brother or sister, or with volleyball, just getting the volleyball and playing at lunch like the kids do at Rogers. They play out in the courtyard, and just having access to a ball lets you gain on your competition, whether it's structured through a club or just for fun. But also another thing that I feel like that's really helped and encouraged female athletics is support, like family support. Because I know that's super huge, to have your parents in the stands at games for high school, or out on the field, for softball. So family support, I think, has really helped our athletes today.
Thank you very much, all three of you. Being a male coach in a world where it's male dominated as well. Coaching wrestling, it's only been 10 years that it's been a regular occurrence to have women in the wrestling room. I remember growing up, a gal by the name of Whitney Conder. She was the first female wrestler to place in the Washington State tournament, took 6th. She went on to be a world champion. She is stellar, but she really paved the way for women in wrestling. Thinking about how quickly it's grown, that the youth programs open it up to their daughters. I mean, coaches, I have a daughter, and I hope one day she's going to be on the wrestling mat too. My wife's convinced she will not be. We got gymnastics, we're doing that. But she's built to wrestle. I'm excited. She's definitely not built for basketball. She's going to be like 3 feet tall. So, maybe a libero, right? That's the correct term. Yeah, she'll be a libero.
Yes.
Doesn't have to do much jumping there. There's continually obstacles. Even currently in wrestling, I can see that there's certain areas of the country that have not allowed women's wrestling into their high schools. So there's always obstacles in sports as a female. What would you say are some of the obstacles that young women face as they move forward in their athletic careers?
I think that's a tough one. I think because, like you said, wherever you live, your obstacles could be very different. Kind of indirectly, I feel like an obstacle that gets to kids is like they commit to one sport super early in their career, and they might miss other opportunities elsewhere. So I like to see kids just through junior high and everything, they might pursue one sport a little heavier than others, but I like to see them play multiple sports for that cross training of their muscles, to help them prevent injuries that way, to meet a lot more kids, a lot more coaches, experience sports in general, and then go that direction. So I think one obstacle is just, it's minor, but just committing to one sport too soon, I feel like limits their maybe athleticism and their ability to make sure that they specialize in the right sport for them.
I definitely would agree with what Amy said. I've talked to a lot of coaches during the recruiting process, and a lot of kids get pressured into choosing one sport by the time they're a freshman or sophomore in high school if they want to be recruited at the next level. So I think that definitely plays a part in it. When it comes to kind of obstacles, I also think it connects to just a larger systemic issue that I think we could all agree on, that it's just a stigma or I'm trying to think of the word, a stigma or a judgment, that women aren't going to be good enough in those sports and men are always going to be better at the sports than women. And so I think, when you look systemically at our society, at any other issue, that's kind of the same way. And so I definitely think that is an obstacle that women athletes face as well. So
I would agree with both of you. And I would also say that maybe a lot of our female athletes are self-conscious. There's different things out there, body image, dietary issues, and all kinds of different things that kind of all play into girls being very self-conscious about themselves. So I said it kind of earlier, and I think that to help these obstacles, they could step outside the box, try something new, be uncomfortable, and really just embrace that progressive mindset instead of being stuck in that systemic problem, like Coach Pancake said. But so don't be so self-conscious, right? Love yourself and try something new, and you'll impress yourself and everybody else. And you'll have a good time doing it too.
So I think about your answers to the last two questions, and kind of, if we can do it right, if we can continue to rise, and if we can get more of our young ladies involved at a younger age, my daughter's 3. I hope that makes a difference, right? I don't want to go overboard, but if we can get them involved and build those relationships and build that self-confidence through different activities, they can only grow and be better, and hopefully beat the system, right? Work around it, go over the top, whatever you got to do, plow right through it, to make it work, and continue to improve and grow women's athletics. Now, you guys, you ladies have had your fair share of teams over the years, and I know as a coach, I've always got a message to my guys, like, this is where I want you to be. This is what I want you to do. It doesn't matter where you start, it's where you finish. What is a message you continually try to instill? And you've all kind of touched on it a little bit, but what's a message you try to instill in your teams when you're coaching year to year?
I think one thing that I'd like to instill in all players is that there's no substitute for hard work, right? There's so many great quotes out there around hard work. And if you work hard, you're always going to be prepared. And you can prepare, if you prepare, you might get beat, but you'll never lose, right? Because you're always working your hardest, trying your best, and there's really no substitute for that. So that would be my message.
Kelly, I love that. That's awesome. I think for me, definitely what Kelly said, there really is no replacement for hard work. The other thing that I always really tried to talk to my athletes about is the importance of, building each other up. And Kelly, you kind of commented on this as well. Women can be hard on themselves, but they can also be very critical of each other, and just the importance of building each other up and, being each other's biggest fans on a team together, and building that bond is incredibly important, because if you don't have that, you're not going to get very far. So having that trust and that kind of sisterhood, I guess, for lack of a better word, with your team is really important. The other thing that I always talk about is the importance of them finding their voice and how empowering that can be, and that it's okay to be a leader, and it's okay if somebody calls you bossy as a woman, because they probably wouldn't use that same term for a man. That tends to happen, and women feel that as a negative thing. Like, it's okay to be a leader. It's okay to use your voice. It's okay to speak up, because a lot of times women have a hard time doing that. And so just the importance of them feeling comfortable and being in a space where they feel empowered to use their voice within that space. And then once they leave the space that you're in, once they leave that team or that program, being able to use that voice that they've cultivated into other areas of their life.
I love what both of you said, such strong messages for our female athletes. I think that's awesome. So I'm going to talk a little bit about just being a Ram. You get to live 3 very short years at Rogers High School. So my message to you would be make a mark, whether that's athletically, however you want to be involved in everything you can, become a well-rounded person. That's going to help you in your athletic adventure. Set your goals for beyond Rogers, absolutely, but don't sacrifice your experience at Rogers because trust me, it will help you get to your end game. Some of my best athletes already knew they were playing college sports in one thing, but they were multi-sport athletes. They were at football games, they were at basketball games, they were at volleyball games, they were everywhere because they love being a Ram, they love supporting their classmates and their teammates, and they were just overall, it helped them in the long run. So enjoy being around, make the most of it. Sadly, yours is being shortened right now, which makes when we go back to sports in school that much more important to be involved in everything you can be. So that would be my advice.
Fantastic all around. Like I'm getting juiced up. I wish we could go to the sports arena, the practice room right now. It's heartbreaking the situation we're in, and I hope every one of you gets to go back, you know, whether it's to the classroom or to the practice room and to the competitive field, because you clearly have a lot to offer all of your students. So thank you very much. I got to touch on a couple of things. Kelly, your piece about just working hard, nothing beats hard work. I hated the Nike shirt, talented but lazy. It was everywhere. You knew you're talented, but you're lazy? What are you doing? Right? It kills me. But we see it year in, year out in our students, in our classrooms, you know, on our athletes that, yeah, the hard worker, yeah, he might not be at the top right now, or she might not be at the top right now, but gosh darn it, they're going to be in a much better place in the end of this. So this has been Coach's Corner. Women in Sports. Thank you so much for joining me. I think I chose the right crew for today. Appreciate it, and fight on.
Go Rams.
Go Rams.